Important to note here that the German government had taken a lead in understanding and identifying the security threats of climate change, and in July last year, under the presidency of Germany in the Security Council, a resolution was passed in the Security Council adopting climate change as a source of international security threats. So what we are discussing here is in fact a continuation of the discussion that earlier took place in the Security Council in New York. I would also like to flag here that the issues of climate change are beginning to threaten our societies, countries, and the international arena as a whole. There are grave issues and threats coming from the issues of food security, water security, human habitation, issues related to health security, issues related to human livelihoods, and of course, human migration. Under the current study that we have conducted with KS and with the support from the Delhi office, we have looked at some of the major issues under consideration and threat by climate-induced conditions. I would also like to mention here that amongst all countries in the world, Bangladesh is certainly a frontline state facing the challenges of climate change. The climate-induced conditions, in fact, will seriously affect Bangladesh's stability and security if nothing is changed in the coming years and decades. You recall that the Bangladesh's National Country Strategy paper identifies a major challenge to Bangladesh's issues of habitation and the potential migration for Bangladesh. It has stated very clearly that if there is a sea level rise around Bangladesh to a 1 meter level, there will be a loss of 17 to 20% of Bangladesh's landmass to the sea. And given the very small nature of the landmass with a very high density of population, the National Strategy paper indicates that it will create a climate refugee population of anything between 20 to 25 million people. And that is really a massive figure to work with. If that is a scenario that we are looking at, then it has certainly potential not only for national security, it has deep implications for regional security and international security. We are concerned here that many of the problems that we are facing today in Bangladesh, the challenges of climate-induced conditions and the security threats, have not been created by Bangladesh, but we are at the receiving end of some of the grave consequences of climate change and the resultant consequences that has been created by the climate-induced conditions. But nevertheless, this is a challenge that we probably have to face as a country. I would argue this is a challenge that we have to face as a region and as an international community. We have adopted in Bangladesh a number of very practical adaptation strategies, which has also been given out in the national strategy. But no nation, not to mention Bangladesh, can afford to adopt such strategies without the support and the resources provided by the international community. And unfortunately, the resources that has been promised at various international conferences and summits and meetings, including the COPs, has not yet materialized into anything tangible. Therefore, we are losing critical time and space in adopting the climate conditions and the strategies that has been identified by Bangladesh in the National Strategy paper and also in the NAPA. And it is important for us that we act together as an international community and supporting each other so that resources are provided to countries facing the challenges of climate change in time. If we lose critical time and space, then much that can be done now may not be possible after a couple of years or decades. Bangladesh is also challenged with a number of human security challenges that normally a country in a developing space faces. And those challenges are now being aggravated by the serious consequences of the impacts of climate change. In our next 2 days, today and tomorrow, we shall be deliberating on some of the key sectors of the consequences of the impacts that the country is facing now and will be facing in the coming years and decades. And the areas of water, food, health, habitation are some of the critical areas that we identify will be having grave consequences. We are also looking at an issue of water security in Bangladesh with special eye, because being one of our mega deltas in the world, Bangladesh is now faced with great challenges of issues related to water. We either have less water when we want it in the dry seasons, because we have been consistently denied the right share of water by upper European country, especially India. And we get more water when you don't want it in the wet seasons, again, when water is pushed towards Bangladesh. We are also faced with the challenges of the potential construction of dam in Timor, which will have grave negative consequences for climate-induced conditions in Bangladesh, and especially on the aspects of water security. We are watching very carefully and very critically on the potential plan of river linking project in India, and if that goes through, that Bangladesh will face an existential threat to its very existence. I only hope that we in the Himalayan Basin river area will have the wisdom and sagacity to work together for the common good of the people in the Himalayan Basin area, which is, in fact, one of the largest basin areas supporting more than 1.5 billion people. Therefore, we cannot effort to look into and create problems, not only for others, but eventually for ourselves. I would especially urge that the larger countries in the region, in the Himalayan Basin area, the upper Iberian country, we must sit together so that we find an equitable solution to the water problems in Bangladesh and in the region. With those few words, I would once again like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having joined us here to listen to some of the critical deliberations on a very, very important issue to Bangladesh and also, in fact, to the international community. I hope our discussions over the next 2 days will produce fruitful results, not only for us here in Bangladesh, but the information that we can share with the other countries in the region and also with the international community. I would urge upon you that we follow the deliberations over the next 2 days, and we will also be interacting with most of you through the internet and our web presence on our findings and our future considerations. With that few words, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very warm thanks to all of you for having joined us here this morning to this national conference on climate change and non-traditional security threats, and our special thanks to Konrad Adenauer Institute for partnering with us and supporting us in this study, and a very warm thanks and gratitude to our chief guest for this morning, Dr. Alauddin Ahmed. I will now request Mr. Delvich from Konrad Adenauer Institute and the regional director based in New Delhi to say a few words. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks.
Honorable Advisor, Prime Minister, Professor Dr. Alauddin Ahmed, dear Major General Munir, distinguished guests, dear friends of the BIPSS and the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. Indeed, and thank you for pointing that out, Munir. It's some kind of an historic day today, since it's the first Bangladesh project of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. Somewhat, this is kind of a logical step, from my point of view, looking at the positive development of the German-Bangladesh ties and relations in the last couple of years. There's a remarkable work being undertaken by so many organizations here in your country and also in Germany. For years, the cooperation has been flourishing. Looking at the activities of the German embassy here in Bangladesh, as much as also the embassy of Bangladesh in Berlin, promoting the cooperation, the understanding of the ties between our two countries. Looking, for example, also at the activities of the Goethe Institute for Cultural Understanding here in Dhaka. We have the GIZ, one of the biggest country offices worldwide, working and remarkably working on so many projects and contributing also to our cooperation. We have a very active trade chamber in Bangladesh, German Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which has also remarkably contributed in the last couple of years for the evolving business sector, economic ties, and networking between our two countries. And in this regard, it's maybe, as I said, logical that we jump on this boat and try to humbly also contribute a bit to this cooperation. And if you don't mind, I would like to hijack this opportunity here to thank the named organizations who have so much helped us and facilitated also the presence of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation here in Bangladesh, as much as I would like also to thank the authorities of your country who have explicitly also welcomed the engagement of the foundation here in Dhaka. Konrad Adenauer Foundation, named after the first Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany after the Second World War. Konrad Adenauer is closely related to the ruling party, Angela Merkel of the CDU, and is already 50 years now active on the international level in more than 100 countries, promoting, as I've mentioned, the ties between partner countries in Germany, promoting the common understanding for democracy, rule of law, and freedom. These values we try to promote together with our partners, as much as we also try to pick up topics of relevance for the country we are active in and Germany itself. Through scholarships, we are sending students, researchers abroad, as much as also to Germany, to further bolster the ties in our countries and to show the understanding for the growing significance of South Asia. From our point of view, we have established further offices in the region, having now 5 offices in South Asia, of which we have one in India, one in Afghanistan, one in Pakistan, and one more in India, actually, which has already been mentioned, named the regional project SARC, which I'm heading with a task also to establish office structures here in Bangladesh, which I'm very happy to do, as we very much believe in the importance of the ties and the cooperation between our two countries. And there's one more additional aspect which I'm very glad to point out, and close understanding which we have is a common understanding and fight against climate change. As you know, for years, Germany has dedicated itself already to promoting discussion on the ongoing climate change and the implications, challenges, and problems being shown through climate change. Is it the government? Is it the political parties? Is it non-state actors? Is it the research and academic sphere? Is it business, industry? There's a clear pathway showing that we believe in our way against the implications of climate change. You see it also by the decision of the German government to end the nuclear era, the era of nuclear power, the transition from fossil resources to renewable resources, and the support for the discussion of the challenges of climate change all around the world. And as you have followed, there was also a decision in the UN Security Council where Germany has explicitly also showed its interest to define climate change as a threat to human security. And therefore, I'm very, very happy also that our good partner, the GIPSS and Major General Zaman, came up with this initiative to bring up this topic of climate change and non-traditional security threats as our common research activity in the last couple of months, peaking in this day's event here, presenting the results. In this regard, I'm very thankful also to you for finding interest and time for today's event and tomorrow's event. I'm very thankful for the researchers who went on to field visits and went on to go deep into the topic itself to show what actually we have to work on, to show also a fundament for policy recommendations we together develop in this regard. And all the people involved in organizational and infrastructural aspects of this conference. So in this regard, I'm very thankful here to you and your team helping to facilitate and pushing this project with you today. I'm very thankful to the speakers who are going to contribute in the 2 days here to shape a more clear picture about the topic itself, which I think is a remarkable topic at the moment also in terms of international discussion. And I'd like to thank also my team back in New Delhi, who has also helped to develop the ties and further facilitate the structures and the cooperation with the partners here in Bangladesh. And therefore, I'd like to wish you all interesting and good conference. Now, welcome you if you would like to know more about the work of the Conrad Adenauer Foundation, to approach me, to look at our website as well, and to keep track also of the work of the GIPSS, since we are going to also continue our partnership with you. Thank you very much.
May I now request our chief guest for today's function to make his statement to the audience. Thank you.
President BISS, Madam General Japan, German think tank KS delegation leader, Mr. Commissioner Dynamic, distinguished guests, Your Excellencies. I am glad to be present and inaugurate a very time-worthy brainstorming on climate change induced security threats facing Bangladesh in particular and on Earth in broader perspective. Though being a low energy consuming country, Bangladesh and many other developing countries are not directly responsible for increasing concern for climate change phenomena. Yet, we are to bear the scourge of the problem created by the developed nation. Climate change acts as a security threat in some of the most volatile regions of the world, including Bangladesh. Projected climate change will seriously aggravate already marginal living standard in many Asian, African, and Middle Eastern nations. Bangladesh is assumed to be worst affected, causing widespread threats in area of water, health, food, environmental livelihood, and gender security. With the anticipated submerging of shoreline due to rising of sea level, huge migration of population to the tune of 2.5 million will create a major cause for regional peace. The effects of increased climate change, most particularly water scarcity, increase of natural disaster, food insecurity, loss of livelihood, displacement and migration, loss of marine biodiversity and fisheries that will intensify. effective climate change mitigation and adaptation efforts, dialogue and sharing of knowledge and technology, regional mechanisms can reduce climate-induced consequences, thereby lessen the likelihood suffering of the people of the region. In South Asia, reduced agricultural productivity due to the decreasing water availability and water-related natural catastrophes is one of the most worrisome consequences of water stress. In the next 20 years, China, Nepal, India and Bangladesh in the Himalayas sub-region will face the depletion of almost 275 billion cubic meters of annual renewable water. The agricultural sector will continue to be the major consumer of water in China, Nepal, India and Bangladesh. The crop yield will drop by 30 to 50% in the case of all these four countries by the middle of the century. Bangladesh is predicted to be one of the worst victims of climate-induced insecurities. A statistic shows that rising sea level will wipe out more cultivable land in Bangladesh than anywhere in the world. By 2050, rice production is expected to drop 10% and wheat production by 30%. About 20 to 30 million people in Bangladesh alone would be on the move because of climate change, causing the worst migration in human history.